want you to see this. Allow me to be your eyes.
Freaks of the Vine, a controversial podcast answering tough questions regarding issues of the day from a practical biblical world view.
Welcome, you crazy whippersnappers, here to the Freaks of the Vine podcast. You know, back in my day, we had to listen to an AM radio. What's that, Ma? She can't hear me anyway. I don't even know why I'm talking to her. Anyway, you guys get your can of Ensure and sit around and have a good time listening to Freaks of the Vine. And go!
Gramps has developed quite the smoker's laugh in his old age.
That was from the cold chamber lung.
Hi, everybody. I am Patrick, along with my co-host, Zach.
What's up?
Miss K.
Hello.
And Engineer Gage.
Hello.
It's great to be in the podcast room again with you guys.
Indeed it is.
Last time we had a very intense conversation about a lot of things going on with sexual morality, of trafficking, and all that kind of horrible stuff. So it's nice to, sit back around with you guys and have a different topic this time, because we need to.
Yeah.
But, speaking of old people.
Although dangerous. Behind the wheel.
Can't still serve a purpose.
Slow and dangerous behind the wheel. Can't still serve a purpose. I'll be right back. Don't you go dying on me.
I was robbed by a nice old
Sweet old lady on a motorized cart. Didn't see it coming.
Kay, you and I are really way closer to having to drink Ensure than these young fellas. So are you looking forward to the day of having to take things for osteoporosis and whatever else they...
I'm already there.
I'm the beholder, sister. I'm the beholder. Do you guys even know what Ensure is?
Is it the same thing as the Carnation's instant breakfast?
No, it's not. It's got a similar quality in the fact that it looks like it. Think of those little cartons of chocolate milk that you got in grade school, and then take a couple of sticks off your teacher's chalkboard and blend them together, and then you have the consistency of Ensure. It's to die for.
My grandma used to drink them.
Oh, I'm sure she just loved every minute of that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. May I have another?
Yeah. We're like almost having to force her to drink them.
Hold grandma down. It's time for her Ensure.
I think they had one flavor for years, sort of like Gatorade was just lemon lime, and then they started coming out with different. I have no idea. I don't have that much knowledge about Ensure. I just was supposed to, we'll tell Grandpa to make sure that he gets a case of the cookies and cream.
All right.
Well, as further advancements of products go, I think, before we get started on our topic tonight, because it's going to be one that we've kind of chose a topic that we want to all talk about, but I have to ask you guys, have you, as we record this, Maui, the island of Maui has suffered horribly, and there's a lot of things surrounding what's going on, but I find it very sad that the first thing out of anybody's mouth when it comes to the news reports is climate change. There's 100+ people dead at this point that we're recording this, with over 1,000 people missing. And the first thing we talk about is climate change from the talking heads of media. Can anybody just shut them the hell up?
Yeah.
No, because they're the extra branch of government.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Same with Meta and Google. Unbelievable, man. Sad times. They're still recovering people. I think they've opened up West Maui now. People are going back to some of their homes and just seeing ashes. It's awful.
It is. It's horrible. To walk down there and realize that was your property and there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to continue to pray for those people. And bless you, Gage.
Bless you.
Before we got started tonight, we were talking about allergies.
Yep.
You said
suck.
they do suck. They're dumb. You have not just seasonal, you like year-round allergies.
Yeah.
So did you ever do one of those cool tests where they test your back?
I did for a while, but then it got to a point where it was too strong. Like my allergies were too bad. They were worried it would
Trigger.
trigger an asthma attack, and then I'd like die on the table or something.
Oh,
Goodness.
Yeah, and
well, I'm glad they're thinking of you.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, the little skin prick things, and it was always funny because
Ain't no cursing in Freaks of the Vine. Go ahead.
oh.
This guy's got jokes.
I was always allergic to cats growing up, and then all of a sudden I like started new medication, and I was just like severely allergic to dogs for some reason.
Oh, no.
So I just swapped one day, and I don't know.
You guys have any
Strange.
cats?
No, well, not anymore. But we got a dog. We didn't have cats because I was allergic to cats, and then now I'm allergic to
Got a
dogs.
dog.
It's Faye. Pomeranians, right?
Just Faye was Yorkie.
Yorkie. I don't know why I was thinking Pomeranian. Yorkshire Terriers are hypoallergenic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They don't have fur; they have hair.
Huh?
Yeah, there's
They
a
do not
few
shed.
breeds
Yeah.
that have just hair.
Yeah, I want to know how that happened in the process of canine development.
Yeah.
How did they all of a sudden have hair? How did this? Anyway, yeah. Well, as we advance technology, so we're going to advance our technology of conversation tonight because we're going to talk about fake smarts.
Yeah, right on.
What'd you call it?
Fake smarts.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence. Boy, it's sweeping the nations, isn't it?
Yeah, it is everywhere.
All right. There's a lot to be concerned about this topic, AI. Which, by the way, in the thumbnail explanation, you got to say Terminator: Rise of the Machines.
It's got to be a picture of John Connor.
It's got to be. It's got to be. All right. When you hear the term AI, when you've heard about artificial intelligence, were you initially excited? I mean, are you excited? Do you like the idea? What's your thoughts? Let's just go around table and just give our initial response reactions.
Well, we carry artificial intelligence in our pockents now.
Yeah,
Starts with our cell phones.
that's right. There
So
is AI inside of it.
There's an extent to where we're all okay with it.
Yeah.
We got it carried
Yeah.
around with us. But the whole like I unlock my phone with a fingerprint scanner, right? But you can set it up to where like it scans your face, scans your retina, right? Facial recognition and all that stuff. It's crazy. And as much as there are uses that can make everyday life simpler and easier and more accessible, especially for disabled people or veterans who
Sure.
come back or amputees, there's so much, but it's also opening up a very dangerous box.
Yeah.
And the first, before we even start this, Jeremiah 17:5. Cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his strength, whose heart departs from the Lord. Cursed.
Yeah, that's nothing you can argue about when it comes from the scripture. And we are worshiping mankind when it comes to this AI technology.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's taking on us, taking on the human persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's being exemplified by quantum mechanics and everything else involved in supercomputers and the vast amounts of information.
So initially, when you hear the term AI, did that excite you?
No, because I've seen Terminator.
That's all I think.
That's all I think of is Skynet, man. Like, the machines are going to rise. They're going to revolt. And they're going to turn liquid and kill my stepmom in the kitchen.
I saw RoboCop too. There's a conspiracy in
It's
this.
just weird.
How about you,
Yeah, that's just me.
Gage? What was your initial thought?
I guess initially I thought, that's pretty cool. The idea of having, like Zach was saying, you have it in your pocket, and that idea of like just a helper to make life easier, and he talked about the applications with like handicapped people. I remember reading, it was a while back, but a kid ended up like getting his hands caught underneath a it's a tractor, the tiller thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Thresher?
Sure.
Maybe.
But he ended up getting his hands caught in it, and it like almost ripped his arms off. But having the voice activation for Siri in his pocket, you could call 911, right?
Yeah.
And so you think about these, like, there are situations where I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. But then you think about, I don't know how deep we're going to go, but the idea of like, they in my phone it has access to my fingerprints, right? So at what point does that start getting to people who shouldn't have it? And then that is scary because you think about like the movies and you're like, how quickly could that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, about you?
Pretty soon science fiction doesn't seem so far-fetched.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, well, I did like pros and cons of it. And I think the good thing about it is if you're blind, they've made chips to put in your brain
Yeah.
to connect in there to help you see
Yeah.
and hear, disabled. So I think that's a good thing. Now if later on down the line they tie that into the AI and where they're able to tap into that chip and use it for other not good things towards the end of time.
Yeah. So let's So initially we all kind of like the idea.
Well, think about how we navigate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I used
the
it
voice on the
twice
GPS.
today. It was the best thing. Oh, I left the dealership getting some work done on the car, and I'm like, I can't remember. Get me to
convenient
Topeka.
is
Literally.
that? Yeah.
Meaning, that's all I said. And it was boom, here we go, next right. Okay, good deal. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
No
Okay.
more paper maps.
Right. Or just pulling over to a gas station. Can you tell me how to get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, man. Practice. But, okay. So there's some good things about it. But
Absolutely.
what
I mean, when we use them daily.
Sure. So what would be in your eyes the negative?
When it takes on the persona of a cop and gets on a...
I'll be back.
Why do you keep following me?
Why is he turning into liquid? He looks like mercury. Sarah Connor.
That's when I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, it's already started.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you guys seen what China's doing with their AI, like facial recognition stuff?
No.
Please enlighten us, because I've heard a
Pretty
little
much
bit.
everywhere there are cameras in China.
Like closed caption or the CCTVs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere. But China's in control of every single one of them. And they implemented this software, and they can, just if you show up in frame, they immediately have your face recognition. They pull up all the information that they ever want. They know where you are at all times. I mean, that's what worries me. That's scary.
Your health
And
record. And,
they know everything. And it's all tied. You just show up in one of these video feeds. They know where you are. And if they want to get any information, they got it.
Some serious 1984 stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Some
That is a
Orwellian
big brother.
Yeah.
Always watching.
And then you think of what Snowden was trying to tell us. I know China's doing it because they don't care that we know, but who else has that kind of technology, right?
Yeah.
And we probably do too. We just
Yeah.
haven't made it really
Well,
public.
look at
yeah.
also the explosion of public surveillance cameras.
Right.
I mean,
Ring-
for definite, I'm not saying they're not, but for legitimate uses, for home security defense.
Oh, most definitely.
it's becoming a priority. The Ring camera systems, everyone's getting. You can get them on Amazon, so you can connect them to your smart home stuff or whatever. It's super easy, very accessible, very convenient. But everywhere's monitored.
Yeah.
There are eyes everywhere. So your purpose might be innocent at the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
But with
You're talking about the heart of man, which is corrupt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to make fun of our buddy who put a piece of electrical tape over the camera lens on his phone.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Now I'm like, anyone got electrical tape?
I know, right?
Because, it's very, very, very weird.
I think the saddest, scariest part for right now for me was you showed me something the other day, and it was like a made-up picture. It was a fake, artificially intelligent, an AI-created photo. Basically, it's like a Photoshop of something. It looked so real. Who the heck was it? It was a speech. Wasn't it a person that was talking? It was like, well, there's the one going around where the mock presidential debate between Trump and Biden if they were in 2024.
Are you talking about the AI-generated characters singing songs?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of.
Because the first one I found was Plankton from SpongeBob singing Linkin Park.
I love those.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So this is AI taking the character of Plankton from SpongeBob, and they've done it with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, and they just superimposed their voice over the singer and the song. And the crazy one was Frank Sinatra singing a Green Day song.
Yeah.
Like Basket Case. Oh. And he's crooning. Do you have the time to listen? Do you?
Yeah.
And it's Green Day, but it's Frank Sinatra. And if you play this to someone coming out of comatose, you're like, hey, you want to listen to Frank Sinatra? You wouldn't know it wouldn't. It wasn't Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It is.
I heard one. It was Eric Cartman doing
Evanescence?
Yeah, Evanescence. Sorry.
Was it the Bring Me to Life? That one.
I don't remember. I'll show you. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Was that AI?
That was AI.
That was my AI. What I think, if AI can create picture, for instance,
there's people who are
of a false person, in a situation. What's to say they don't start to at some point to do this to take down people that they don't like?
Sure.
You can already date AI versions of supermodels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen that.
Yes.
It's like a virtual girlfriend thing.
Yes, AI dating.
Yeah.
It's becoming real.
It's
Yeah.
so weird.
So with that being said, Zach, I was looking at this one
Possibilities are endless.
Somebody did that, and they did the call this 1-800 or 1-900 number,
Right.
$1 a minute. For 1 week, they got $72,000 just off an AI
my
person
goodness.
talking to them. Yeah.
Wow.
There's money to be made.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Well, the flesh wants what the flesh wants. But I think if you start talking about like cropping
But
pictures,
these people
creating
straight up know
false,
it's fake.
But if you start taking pictures of people and putting them in false situations, you can take down anybody and everybody that you do not like.
Yeah, it's like in Little Nicky.
Yeah.
And they superimpose Nicky's face on Scarface.
Yeah.
And it's, you tell from a mile away, like, that's not me, that's Tony Montana. Right? But then you're like, oh, wow, how did someone not realize that superimpose?
Yeah.
Now you're like, no.
It's exactly right.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know why I thought of Little Nicky, because it always goes back to childhood movies. But, yeah, it's getting very, very weird.
Yeah.
What about UK?
Yeah.
Just as far as the
Just scariest.
Have you thought about that?
yeah. I think the scariest thing is, and again, this probably goes to the sexual immorality. People watching porn and then it's through AI, and they have this AI robot in their house. The next thing you know, that's their girlfriend, boyfriend. Then they don't have kids anymore. I mean, long term,
The
kid.
blow-up doll is taking a
Now-
whole different persona now, huh?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, now we don't have population anymore because,
Yeah, people
It's-
can just get their kicks off of
Yeah.
Route 66 at home.
yeah, they're with an AI robot.
And
There
you can
goes-
create it to where it's like
Whatever.
out of the reach of human reason.
Yeah.
Like you can make it an absolute beautiful
They've been working on
creature,
that for a while.
being.
Yeah.
And your wiring upstairs goes from
It-
human beings to something that is not naturally obtainable.
Right.
And it's yeah.
And then there's
that's
no
bad news.
marriage, there's no families.
Right.
Yeah, that's
That's a very scary thought.
scary for
It
me
is.
because this is why we're here.
Right.
So we went from like the Jetsons being like my robotic maid was going to start doing laundry and doing the dishes, and I was all excited about
and
that.
then It's Jetsons, and then Shameless got involved.
And everything went to pot. Yeah, well, and in all seriousness, that these are real problems that
Yeah. And
we
it's
can laugh
just-
about them, and there's a level of humor we need to
because
have.
we're laughing because
Yeah.
you're like, dude, this is something that was a source of entertainment, fiction wise. This was never going to be real life,
Yeah,
and now we're here and we're surpassing it.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about Elon Musk conjuring up with this idea to populate Mars, to heat up the planet, to put satellites that reflect and refract solar light to warm the planet up to make it sustainable to have stuff like water. And it's getting feasible.
it
It's
is.
just
Yeah, it is.
So
getting
what
feasible.
what do you think about Elon Musk? I mean, as far as him going out there and doing all this AI stuff and knowing in his mind how this will affect
he
the
had a
future.
very interesting interview about that. And the guy straight up asked him, he's like, this artificial intelligence stuff, he's like, yeah, it's going to be dangerous in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying that it's just a matter of time.
But he's helping create it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you sleep at night knowing that?
Yeah, I kind of.
Yeah.
I've asked
I mean-
that
You know?
question before too.
Yeah,
Because he's a pioneer, if you will.
Yeah.
Put that in quotations.
but he comes out and talks about how scary it is and how
Yes, he does.
how quickly it's all advancing. Even the guy that made Chat GPT, I can't think of his name, but he like left the program. He's like, this is too much. We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have. I don't know that Elon Musk. Maybe he's okay. Let me put it this way: any human being, again, has certain criteria in mind. They have things. They have a plan. I'm sure that he wants to be the first one. He's a pioneer. He's an entrepreneur. He wants to be the first in doing whatever he can. SpaceX, all these things. But where is his motive? Because if he's not, because ultimately, if he's not a believer in Christ, he is an unbeliever. Which
His
again, he
motive,
belongs to the world.
straight up,
his
is-
motive is absolutely secular.
It's straight up because I can.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, and I just watched one, and I kind of cornered him because the guy was like, "Why do you share tweets with these messages that could come off as offensive to like investors?" He's like, "Because that's my opinion, and I'm thinking what I want." Well, I'm just saying, like maybe it's harmful to the company, and he sits there for like 12 seconds, and it's very awkward. Honestly, it's because I can, and that's what I want to do. Because I can.
I'll do what I want.
It's basically a big version of it. Whatever, I do what I want.
I'll do what I want.
Hey, he's got the brain. He's got the economic skills. He's figured out how to get paid through stock and share options, so he doesn't have to pay taxes on his income. So everything he makes is straight profit. Oh yeah,
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
knows what he's doing, but he's not a follower of Christ, at least publicly.
It always comes down. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to, they're not going to listen. And maybe, if a person's listening to this particular podcast and they're not a follower of Christ, and that's fine, by all means, and we appreciate you listening. But what we talk about constantly from the biblical perspective is it is either for Christ or against. Now, you may not be against Christ, but the point of the gospel is if you're not with him, then you're against him, meaning that typically the motive is flesh or it is spiritual. And the spiritual would only be the Spirit of God.
And cursed is the one who finds, in his own flesh.
Right. And because you're always looking for an idol. You're always looking for a God because everybody has a God. It just depends on whether or not it's actually the God.
Right.
Or
Whether you
something
intend to or not, the little g God of this world is the fallen angel himself, the father of lies. So even if you're not following Christ, you're gonna have to serve somebody.
Right.
And without knowing it, your worldly fuel, your inner motivation comes from the flesh, which comes from the fallen world, which ultimately resorts back to dingus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what
Dingus
he
is
wants.
putting it lightly.
Yeah, I like the word dingus, though, to explain Satan. I think that's beautiful. Okay, so here's what America thinks about it. Americans lean towards concern over excitement when it comes to increased use of AI in daily life. Okay? To the tune of 45% to 37%. Okay? And I think there are more people who are beginning to see it. And if you're talking Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Native American are all grouped in one, or Black Americans. Of all of those, you have blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians. Of those four groups as a whole, being the predominant four groups of our demographics, whites are the most excited about AI. Blacks and Latinos are the least excited. And anybody can make a guess as to maybe why. And I'd like to know, but they didn't. In the particular Gallup poll, this is done by Pew Research, which is a church research center. I think a lot of people. It just said that that was the demographics they were finding. But in a whole, Americans explain in their own words what makes them either more concerned or more excited about the increased presence of AI in daily life. 18% more excited than concerned. Equally concerned and excited, 45% more concerned than excited, 37%. It's all over the place. And I think the biggest thing is then I look at this and it says, among those who say they are more concerned, what is it that makes them concerned? What do you think the one thing that they're more threatened by with AI than anything else? Would you want to guess? Loss of jobs. Because people who work for a living are worried about AI creating jobs.
And it's legit.
It is legit.
Yeah.
Watching that new AI robot play ping pong and absolutely destroy the guy, I couldn't believe the moves it was making. It made credible moves of knowing exactly where to go with that ball, and absolutely destroyed the dude. And he's a world-class ping pong player.
So you're talking wait staff, fast food workers,
Yep.
telemarketers, bank tellers.
Yeah.
All of these.
Yeah, this stuff's been happening forever. I mean, you think of like assembly lines. It used to be just a bunch of people doing it, but now they got 4 people who work on the machine that does 200 people's jobs.
Yeah.
So I think it's a reasonable thing to be worried about.
What's that one show that's really cool that does the shows how
How it's made.
How it's made? Is that what it's actually
Yeah.
called? Wow, I had to really stretch on that one. How It's Made, though, is a really fun show to watch.
Yeah.
But this has been in development for years. I mean, how do they make a chocolate candy bar and put it in a wrapper with no human interaction?
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I just, and it's not ceasing. This has been in development for years. We're just getting better at it, so now it's starting
Right.
to pop up and more.
Yeah.
You look at the advancements of like robotics and you're talking about the robot that's doing ping pong, and they always talk about like, oh well, that's years later where they're gonna develop somebody who can, or not somebody, a robot that can do these jobs, right? But you think about the advancement between when they first started making these and where it is now. It's it's only just like 10 years, you know. So in 10 years now, where are we going to be? They already got robots that are picking up, 100-pound boxes, loading them up, right? So now you don't need people on trucks and.
So think of the whole process of being in a warehouse.
Yeah.
The product gets stocked by a robot.
Yep.
It gets order picked and selected by a robot, put onto a truck by a robot, and said truck now drives itself.
Yeah. Right. Right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're already driving without in California.
People falling asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. Wasn't it it was Logan, the movie, where the trucks are driving without a driver? You remember that? Because it's based in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all the trucks on the highway all the freight trucks are driven.
It's a great movie. Need to go back.
It was. They were all driven by AI computer driving to their destination. Because it was funny because you only saw a couple people in vehicles. Everything else was no human being, and they're just a steering wheel moving.
Yeah.
And it was just like a moment of that movie, but it was pretty interesting because I was like, this is set in I think it came out 5 years ago maybe, and it was put in 2028, 2030. So their projection of this was even,
Yeah.
It'll never make stand-up comedy.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It won't be any good.
Non
Yeah,
sequitur. Funny Bot. South Park already crossed this bridge. They came
Of
out
course
with
they
Funny
did.
Bot, who's the end all to be all jokester, and it's a robot, and it decides to take over the world. Awkward.
Right. They're always ahead of it a little bit. All right. I guess we're going to see the continued development. It's not stopping. So how concerned?
It's rampant.
How concerned are you on if you had a gauge? No pun intended with a U in there. 0 to 100%. How worried are you? If you had a number you wanted to throw out there about it taking an effect on humanity.
About Tree Fitty.
About Tree Fitty. Is that 35.0?
It's a lot. Because it is, I mean, we're already socially stupid.
Right.
We've put the phone in our hands, so we can't even have face-to-face conversations with each other anymore. So there's that. We are already socially dumbed down and zombified. And then you're going to take the whole concept of procreating and mingling and, seeking companionship. You're going to turn that digital. Every aspect is being turned away from one another. When civilization was based on interacting with one another, now we're going and dividing and putting artificial intelligence in the place of other people. I understand having your fill with people. Believe me, I do. You can only handle so much with so many.
Yep.
But this is a whole different level. This is not. It's not right, and we weren't meant for it.
No.
We can use it to aid.
Yeah.
And to assist, and to help, and to, increase the quality of life. Hey, Google, give me to Topeka.
Right.
Like that, I'm back on the highway home. Right? Stuff like that. But just like we have the dark web and the known, surfable internet that we have access to as civilians is the tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
And everything else that exists is below the water. And it's stuff that's not seen.
There's always...
This is very similar.
I think with your point right there, I used to do that radio show years ago. Do you remember the snack box?
Oh, heck yeah. It was my favorite. Brownies.
Used to have one of those.
It was the integrity system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a box out, and you have a little coin cut out in the box, the top of it. And the suggested price for everything was, let's say, 60 cents at the time. So you put your 60 cents in there and you take, if you had 75, you just drop 75 in there. You don't get any change. And you take your snack. And an integrity box is never always going to be, it's never going to get all the money it needs.
Sure.
You're never going to break even.
Every time, if you started this in 1980, you would probably have a way different turnout. But there's always going to be probably, more than likely, maybe one candy bar missing. And you advance through the decades in 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. And you're going to start, depends on obviously a lot of things. But the problem is that you're always relying on a human that's going to take advantage. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So when you say that exact point, Zach, that everybody, I think, has a really good intention of it. Who wouldn't want to?
Well, the innocence
of it,
right?
Yeah.
Is, and I think there's a strategic part of it when it comes to helping those who are, especially mentally challenged, and what could it do to serve people who are in wheelchairs and really
can assist people to start walking again. It can assist people with being able to see, being able to hear, being able to taste, to basically bring your senses that if you are without alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then you're moving now, though, that you always have the human element, and there's a person who's always going to look for the advantage, taking advantage of what they can to take advantage of other humans. So it's always going to have that problem. It's always the old adages. You can't have something not, it's why we can't have something nice.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to, is because it could be something really serviceable, but it won't be.
Right.
It will be, but it won't be.
Yeah. You brought up, you talked about how it's a moral issue in terms of how we're going to use this and the kind of development behind it. But it reminds me of when they talk about, putting your cart in the cart rack or whatever,
Corral?
right?
The cart
yeah,
corral?
yeah. It's like the ultimate test of morality because you don't get anything out of it. You're just helping fellow man to clean it up, right? And you still see people who don't put their cart up, and then you trust these people to make the best decisions in terms of morality and how they're going to use these things. I was watching something, and I don't remember what they called it, but in Japan they have these little shops where you can donate clothes, and then it's all ran by robots. Well, you scan. Basically, you'll have your clothes, and they'll have different colored hangers, and you just go up and you scan it, and then you'll pay, and then you can leave. Right? The door's just wide open. Nobody's working there, so there's no security. So it's all based on trust of people. But you have these things where people, like you said, like the box, people take advantage of it, and it just goes back to morality because, this robot, it doesn't have morals. It doesn't have this, compass.
Ethics.
You just have people who tell it what to do and hope that it works, right? But it just takes one person to just ruin it.
Yeah. On the whole morality thing, these people are making moral decisions, and they're trying to base their morality when they think that our fundamental existence came from random chance.
Right. Yeah.
They have no basis to place the morality.
Yeah.
The morality is just plucked it out of thin air. It's a philosopher's dream.
Yeah.
And then the whole Japanese culture just absolutely intrigues me, man.
It is interesting.
Because they are so much more cognizant of fellow man.
Yeah. But and I agree, but then you have this extreme where they call them NEETs, and it's these people. I can't remember what the acronym is, but basically they don't have a job, or the job that they do, it's all remote, so they don't have to leave their house. They all order food. There was one guy, and I think they said he never left his apartment for 14 years.
That's absolutely insane.
Because he just ordered food. He didn't have to talk to anybody, and you talk about the sex robots and stuff like that.
Well, it's the same country that has women's used panty vending machines.
Right. So you
Like-
look at this like,
But,
on
so
one
I-
half it's so respectful.
yeah,
and,
exactly.
You're
So
watching out for fellow man, and then
right.
And the
just
other-
down the road,
But
it's
I
like,
bring up the whole cognizant of fellow man because
Yeah.
right now, if you're a sports fan, more in particular the sport of baseball,
Yep.
you're seeing somebody perform a feat that has not been seen ever in the history of the sport in Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani is Japanese.
and made in a lab.
Right? He is absolutely incredible. He's one of the fastest players in Major League Baseball with one of the best throwing arms, power, contact, defense. He is pitching at a rate that has not been seen, and he also hits.
Yeah.
And he's hitting home run, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. He's doing what Babe Ruth did better than Babe Ruth. It's just no one's ever seen this before. And there was World Baseball Classic or something happened, and he hit a home run, and it was a Japanese crowd, and the crowd caught the ball. Okay, Shohei Ohtani hits a home run in America, any of the ballparks. That ball, as soon as it crosses into the stands, it looks like a beehive.
Yeah.
People are going nuts. Women and children are no regard. You're
Yeah,
getting punched
they're
in
trying
the
to get
face
that.
for this baseball.
Yep.
He hits a home run in Japan. The person who catches it looks at it, takes pictures, and then hands it to the person next to them who looks at it, admires it, takes pictures, and they pass it to each other.
Wow.
That does not happen in the United States of America.
Does not.
All right, Johnny from the Bronx goes, "I got the ball," and he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone. That's all there is to it. It's
on
just
eBay in
like,
15 minutes when he's in the
exactly.
front seat.
There's such a disconnect, but the other side of that coin, man, is very dirty for no matter what culture.
Yeah.
And when you have the Japanese culture who puts, they are very sexual.
Yes.
They're like Germany. They just, sex to them is like violence to the Americans, honestly. Like, how violence is all over? Like, and
Yeah.
everyone else in the world is just like, oh my God, how do you do that? And Americans are like, well, it's America.
Yeah.
They replace that with perversion and sex, and it's just more tolerable in different cultures. It's crazy.
I remember seeing a commercial that you showed me about 12,
Yeah,
13
it was
years
like
ago.
a Sprite commercial with the gear shift.
Oh no, it was a car commercial. It was a car commercial. It was a gear shift in the middle of the car, and the gal and the guy get in the car, and she goes.
Yeah, her head disappears.
This is a commercial aired in front of children. And you know what she's doing, and then it's with the gear shift, and it's a car commercial advertisement. And I'm like, what?
And this was-
are you
yeah.
what? And I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
it was a joke, and it wasn't. But that's because other cultures don't view it the way we do. We have had a moral compass.
we used to.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it is out. Yeah, look, we went from
It's
having-
not like it's never been that extreme even to this day.
Well, we had a moral compass unlike anybody else, I think, for the longest time, and now it's all out the window. And now people are looking at us, going, "Wow, you really are taking this to another
Yeah.
level."
Yeah.
That's how quickly we've fallen.
Yeah, and I'm going to go up to the totally different subject and bring this up because we're talking about international stuff. Our country just sent a crap ton of money to Ukraine in response to obviously the war effort. So our commander-in-chief sends in money. We have a natural disaster on domestic soil.
Yep.
Well, island. Where all of this is. You want to focus some resources to the backyard, pal?
Right.
They're all getting $700. They're getting $700, but the average Ukrainian will actually get $2,500.
And that makes what sense?
None.
What in the world?
Does anybody
Yeah.
realize that we are sending Ukraine? We have committed $118 billion.
Oh, yeah.
billion dollars.
I mean,
to
he
them.
Yes.
He
Billion.
kept coming out and saying, "We're not going to send them nothing. We're not going to send them any tanks." Immediately after,
Looks at you with a smiling face.
Sends
We're not
tanks
gonna say
over.
there were-
There's troops over
man,
there.
Hey man, here's $50 billion.
Yeah,
You stupid senile.
and then it was the
Jackwagon.
planes. They're like, "We're not sending any planes over there. We're not going to do that." They immediately do. There's so much footage of that war. It's kind of
crazy.
creepy.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that you could see But there are Americans over there, soldiers,
Yeah.
and they keep saying, "Oh, we didn't send any over."
The amount of lies
Yeah.
and commitments and things that this administration has done, and none of it is on the newspaper. None of
No.
it's in the news. It is such a one-sided thing. And if you go back to our podcast from 3 years ago, we didn't take it easy on Trump. We didn't take it easy on Biden. We've never taken it easy on anybody. We've talked
Someone at
facts.
some point in time needs to take accountability for their freaking
Sure.
actions.
Because we're looking at it from a biblical perspective.
Yes.
Our biblical worldview tells us that we can't worship human beings.
No.
And these human beings are continuing to fail.
but we must hold those in leadership positions accountable.
Most
But all
definitely.
we're talking about in the news is another indictment on Trump.
Right.
When you have a man sitting in the White House, the former vice president,
Who's a puppet.
who's an absolute
Right.
puppet, and doing one thing after another that's an atrocity in this country, and there's nothing being done, and nothing is going to be done.
Hawaii is the tourist economic capital of the United States, man.
Oh yeah.
You go to Maui for tourism, and that's why the locals, they're groomed to hate people,
Yeah. Well,
and so like you have all of that, and it's such a an endearing, even without the endearments, help out the state that
Right.
just got destroyed.
yeah. I was before this happened. They were interviewing. I can't remember why, but there was like a shooting that happened, and they the people that live there. They were talking about this is one of the amount of gang violence that happens day to day. But it's not being broadcast because if you start putting it in the news, this is a violent.
Then nobody will want to go there.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants to come, and then it
Exactly.
dips profit.
They were reporting that there's a bunch of looting going on in Maui, and there are 3 reporters that reported on that today, that they are in the heart of West Maui. There is no looting going on. They're saying that, and one of them was asked about it. He goes, I don't know. I'm not obviously everywhere, but there's nothing going on here. Everybody's very concerned about their fellow islander.
Yeah.
There's no crime going on.
Why is
So
that,
why is
why
it?
is that a lie to be spread?
Well, why would you spread that lie? And why would you literally go immediately to climate change? Why would you? It's like climate change caused us, a hurricane wind caused us, and that's why it caught on fire, because the entire Earth's getting hotter. Oh,
Jake,
and by the way, we're
congratulations.
breaking into Nordstrom's.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with anything?
Congratulations, Captain Hindsight. You showed up and saved the day. Bye.
Right. Yeah. And then they're not helping.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for explaining how we got here. Now, where do we go?
Yeah. What's next?
Stephen
It's
Crowder did a
crisp.
phenomenal job the other day of bringing those things up, and I unfortunately, then he's been silenced by everybody too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
has Alex Jones and all these other people. I don't care what anybody says. The point is that you can't silence people just because they have a voice. You may not like what they have to
Basically
say.
started this country, and the first thing we wrote down was anybody can say what they want to say.
Freedom. Of
And it's funny how we backed that up with, oh, yeah, and you can go ahead and own a gun.
Yeah. And then people are
Because you're
like,
going to be
so
hated
which
for
one?
what you say,
Yeah.
so you may defend yourself for saying it.
Exactly. How about that? Number one in Okay, did you bring anything that you were going to share tonight about the stuff?
Just pretty much what
We
I
already
kinda
talked
covered.
about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I think that the thing about it is, guys, at the end of the day, we have to remember this. And I don't know that what I'm going to tell you is something that every Christian knows. Every Christian knows that Christ, true professing Christian knows that Christ is going to return. But isn't it strange? Don't you find it the irony that more Christians that aren't caught up in the conspiracies, that aren't over the top worried about the headlines, the ones that are calm, the demeanor is right even keeled, are talking more about the fact that they just know. Like they just know the return of Christ is imminent. Like it's not a matter about every Christian for 2,000 years has just discussed it. But I have never seen this many people going, "Oh, I just know it's soon." Like it's like we don't know the time, but we know it's so close that And I think that's because we're seeing man has fallen far, and it keep going further downward spiral.
And especially now since the main target is children.
yeah.
It's, people in the news saying that they want the kids to go home and lie to their parents about what was taught at school that day. That way that the parents don't intervene.
Yeah.
and the kids can continue to get brainwashed by the teachers at school.
I was blessed today to speak to a gentleman who was a major in our United States military, and those stripes don't come easy. And to cliffhang you guys, he dropped some knowledge on me, and we're going to finish the discussion on Friday. So I'm going to have more information on this, and I'm going to share it with you guys at the next podcast.
Cool.
Because I will share it with you before that, but we'll share it with our listeners at the next podcast.
Gotcha.
So we better do another Freaks on the Vine very soon.
Right on.
Yeah.
We better.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, on a good news note, the former president, Biden's a moron.
That's not good news.
No, but we're a year away from maybe, perhaps, possibly getting him out of the wheelchair. I don't know. Has anybody got any good clean jokes before we dismiss ourselves this evening? Zach's thinking really hard. He's thinking really hard. He's got something.
Here, let's ask Siri.
They're not clean. Yeah, there you go. After all of this, bring in your flippin' AI robot.
Oh, no, you're going to look.
Google, tell me a joke. Oh, mine doesn't do it. It's not cool.
How does yours not do
I
it?
don't know. I just spoke into it and it didn't do it this time. It just listed a bunch of jokes that popped up. See, it's not complete.
No, it's because Dad always gets like great value stuff, everything. So he's got like great value service with the great value Samsung phone. So it's like it looks the same, but it's not.
That's not a smartphone. That's a dumbass phone.
He's still got net zero for his.
For his internet provider. Dial-up speed. Joke's on me.
Okay. Well, what has 7 arms and sucks?
Oh, no.
Def Leppard. Mindy told me that joke, so there you go.
Technically, there's 5 guys in the band, so it'd be 9.
Okay, way to ruin it. Just kidding. No, man,
You had one.
Oh, hey, what's the best type of music to listen to when you're fishing?
I don't know.
Something catchy.
Right on.
That's good.
The next episode of Freaks of the Vine, we will be doing dad jokes.
How about some Yo Mama?
Oh, man. What do you know? This is dating me. 40 years ago, I remember sitting in 6th grade. I just moved here from California, and I was in school. I was in class. I went from a lot of classmates that were Latino to a lot of classmates who happened to be black in the community and the neighborhood I lived. And I'd never heard it before, but they used to do this. A is for apple. Do you remember that little rap that they used to do back in the mid 80s? A is for apple. J is for Jack. Yeah. They would, and it was like then a cut down. It was something like, mama's on welfare and your daddy's on crack. So like they would go back and forth. It was the best cut downs, and it was always when the teacher went down to make copies.
Yep.
And I would sit there and listen to the culture war of 2 guys. I mean, some of the times the girls would get involved. It was pretty good. It was my first introduction into the real culture of rap, I guess, in 1983. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
Mama's so broke she can't afford to pay attention.
Mama's so fat she gets a shoe shine and has to take his word for it.
Your mama's so poor she had to go to KFC and lick other people's fingers.
Yes, sir.
Mama's so fat she opened up a fake Gmail account just so she can eat all the spam.
There were a lot. What kind of schools did we go to?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Well, if you guys want to email us concerning anything interesting about your discoveries of AI, or I should say fake smarts, you can email us at.
freaksofthevine@gmail.com.
Could you please use our new logo?
Yeah, I tried to put it up, but I need you to send me a different one.
Okay,
it's
I
too
got
big.
You. I got you a beautiful one.
Yeah,
I
thank
got you a beautiful one.
I know you guys redid it, so
Yeah, one last time. We have a new Freaks of the Vine logo. We're going to come up with some T-shirts for Freaks of the Vine and also make those available very soon, hopefully. And I've got the starter kit one today, except I got scooters spilled all over the front of it. So I took it off and changed my shirt. Sorry I couldn't dress it up for you guys tonight. However, before I leave you guys, I went to the, since our last episode, went to the Immortal Fest in Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Got a chance to visit with several wonderful people there. More on that down the road. But I got to tell you, I was walking in, and this gentleman walks up to me, and he says, sir, I have a Freaks of the Vine t-shirt that my wife made for me. And he says, are you involved with Freaks of the Vine? And I look at him, and I look down at my shirt, and I realize what I have on. And I look back up at him, and I probably looked stupid. And I probably looked back at my shirt one more time before I was like, yeah? My wife and I were just listening to that today. And I'm in Ohio, and right at this point. And I'm like, wow, really? It was wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was great. We have a fan out there, and they listened to the Pastor Bob interview and been listening to the other episodes ever since.
Heck
Right
yeah.
on.
That's awesome.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We appreciate anybody who takes the time to listen, and hopefully you get entertained and maybe a little bit of interesting information. We like to keep it from a biblical point of view, but we will always be a little bit slighted on it because we get frustrated just as much as you do. But don't have any fear because the Word of God tells us to not fear anything that the world has to offer. So, till the next time, for Zach,
Yes, sir.
for Kay, and for Gage, we are Freaks of the Vine, and we are... Ouch!